Fudge gang! I am still a hard man. Let's go. All right. I am Imperator of Forge, and I am the one that's streaming tonight. So, I want to ask a question, and it's going to be a very spicy question. Does the Texas and U.S. constitutions and laws really give equal rights to autistics? Well, the short answer is they do not. So the United States Constitution is just simply based on the English Bill of Rights. I've talked about this numerous times. The list of British or English documents from the 13th century down to about the 17th century that were basically the founding stone or the capstone for the Constitution, the U.S. founding documents. The Texas Constitution is a mix of Spanish, Mexican, British, and American influences. It was in part appropriated from the 1826-24 Mexican Constitution, at least in regards to land rights and distribution. It was in part influenced by the American Constitution and by some southern states' constitutions. The current draft of the Texas State Constitution is from 1876. But little by little, Governor Greg Abbott is removing protections, rights, and stipulations for the protection of protected minority groups in Texas. So it would actually make sense that no, Texas fucking does not guarantee equal rights and protective statutes of an economic and individual perspective towards autistic or higher functioning autistic people, etc., blah, blah, blah. I could end the stream right here. This could be the end of it. And this could be the fullest details, but no, it's got to be good. We got to burn the presses here. This is hot news. Nobody really talks about this, do they? Besides me, of course, because I'm fucking brilliant. Anyways, I have no sponsors tonight. There are no sponsors for this channel, unfortunately, so we can just go right into the juicy, freaking gooshy meat details. So I am Imperator of Forge, otherwise known as Forge Warhammer. I will be the host on here. If in the event a couple of other people or one other person comes on and co-hosts with me on the stream tonight, but that is unlikely to happen. So, Forge Gang! I am still a hard man! Let's go! All right, so this is Forge Gang Radio. Interdimensional Lizard says an intriguing question. Yeah. Well, this is still something that I am trying to really process through. I have done hours and hours of research studying this very topic. I have put in hours of research looking through this, and I could not find any coherent answer to the question that I wanted to share. I was unable to find any real clairvoyant answer. So I'm going to have to guess that this is something that has never been considered or much thought about or really considered, other than the fact that people who are considered to be disabled or to have disabilities should be locked away or put into some kind of dorm or just basically institutionalized, and then no worries about them. They're retards anyways, right? So that is the basic conclusion of how I feel the Texas and the U.S. constitutions want to deal with these issues and problems. So obviously, they do not want to give equal rights or equal stipulations in the law to individuals who are considered to be autistic from individuals who are neurotypical or who are not, or who are so-called normies. So, and again, this is just a continuation of that same old question from Greek and Roman times, Greco-Roman times, antiquity, about who really is a citizen, who is really not, who really does have the same rights as a voting citizen body. These are in fact just age-old questions, timeless questions in regards to who really is a citizen, who really does get a voting right or a voting say. But I cannot speak for the entire United States, though I would say that it's becoming more in all the same in the entire Anglo-sphere. But when it comes to Texas, I would say that blacks, women, disabled people, gays, troons, etc., anyone or anybody that could just be considered just a little different or just a little bit off the curb, not quite right, as Frank Hill from King of the Hill would say, that boy just ain't right. To not really have the same rights and protections as other people who live in the state of Texas. So anyways, I would have to conclude that Texas does not protect and does not, democratically speaking, grant equal rights, protections, etc., to autistic people, and that there is a fear that autistic people should not have gun rights, and it is because they are autistic, or because they are black, or because they are gay, and therefore they do not have these Christian fascist Texas values, or Texan fascist Christian values, fundamental Christian values, that most of these people who call themselves Texans normally would have, or at least that is how they would have you think it is. There is probably also a division between class, between rich and poor, between the haves and have-nots, and between the old and the young, male and female, and also a few other things to probably consider as well. Obviously, there's differences between people that come from a largely urban background from those that come from a rural background that probably would not even really consider, much less really think about, or really consider to the extent or the problems of such norms and issues, given that in the country, in small town America, middle America, these kind of things just ain't too necessary. They just ain't too really to be focused on, and they just ain't too necessary. Oh, it's just too hard on my head. It's just too hard to think about. Yeah, sure, dude. Fuck off. Fuck the hell off, motherfucker. Anyways, no, these are issues that are important. They very much should be considered. Now, I know what you people are going to say. Why haven't you wrote a letter to your senator or to your congressman? Why have you not tried to contact the president or the governor's office or the Department of State? Why have you not tried to like write letters or something addressing these questions in regards to the processes of law, etc.? and commerce because it wouldn't change a thing. It would be very fruitless and very pointless to even consider to try to do that, because no congressman and no senator has a stake in whether or not autistic people are represented under the Texas and U.S. Constitution under the same laws and the same rights in the same manner, and have the same property protection, the same individual rights, property rights and protections and stipulations as neurotypicals. It simply doesn't pay. There is nothing to get out of it. There's no money. There is no civil rights glory riding to get out of it. It would be a waste of time for them. So no, I am not going to write a letter. I am not going to try to contact nobody. It would be a considerable waste of time. What I can do is that since I have a YouTube channel and a StreamYards link, I can stream about it, and I can discuss my research and personal topics about it. Now, I am not a lawyer, I'm not a politician, and I'm not being paid, nor am I paying or part of any organization. However, that is about to change, because for 3 years, I gave a lot of you guys in the sector a chance. I gave you 4 years to convince me that higher functioning autistic people have a place, or have a place at the table of representation on an individual level and nothing else, on an equal playing field in the far right community. I gave you 4 years of my life to do that, and you did not deliver. It's not that you were expected to deliver, but you did not demonstrate to me that higher functioning autistic people have an equal playing field in the far right, in the Christian far right. So I am going to act on my own. Okay? I have not heard an alternative voice in regard to this matter. There are no streamers, there are no podcasts, there are no books, there are no things on these subjects and matters, and I have spent hours of my life, I have put in lots of energy trying to search around everywhere I could, read everything that I could, try to find everything that I could find to address these very questions that I was trying to press. And to this very date, there is not a single thing that talks about how higher functioning autistic people, higher functioning neurodivergent people, how they are to be treated, or how are they to be dealt with, or what is to be done with them, what question or topics are to be done with them in the Christian far right or the Christian dissident right community. And so I'm going to take my own course of action, and I am going to take action. I am going to make my own decision, and I will do it on my own behalf, not on the behalf of anyone else, but only myself. And I am just going to conclude that the Texas state constitution and the United States Constitution does not give equal rights in a property sense, a propertied, lawful, and individual sense to autists. And that is how I am going to conclude on that matter and that subject. Therefore, as a supposed citizen of the United States, I do not have an equal say, and I do not have the freedoms and the rights that these so-called papers and documents say that I do, because they say that higher functioning autistic people do not have equal rights and equal opportunities as people who are neurotypical. Okay, I do not get to make as much money, even if I work as much and put in as much effort and work just as hard as a neurotypical. I do not get to have the satisfaction of a family, a household, money, property, wealth, vacation, resorts, the rights to vote, the rights to be represented, to have my voice heard, and to have at least a relatively good off median income as a neurotypical. So clearly I do not have those rights. So therefore I do not, in fact, have the same rights as an American or a Texan citizen. Now, that being said, why would anyone in their right mind approach me and try to talk to me about concurrent issues or social issues that are happening in Texas or are concurrently taking place within Texas, within the United States, or within the Anglosphere at large, or in Europe, etc., and think that I would approach it from a culturally conservative, fiscally conservative, politically conservative background? Because obviously I'm not going to, because I am disenfranchised. I am going to approach it from a disenfranchised, oppositional perspective against an economically conservative, politically conservative, and fiscally conservative point of view. Obviously, I will be coming from a more progressive or more libertarian side of things, or from a more center libertarian mindset and perspective about it. So, when you ask me questions about such and such, like the TBC ban, I am going to say that no, I do not support the TBC ban in Texas. I think that weed should, in some small considered quantities, be legalized. I do not think that people should be told what God that they should worship, and I don't think that people should be told what they put into their bodies or what they do with their bodies. And therefore, having said that, it would probably make a lot of sense to say that no, I don't fucking agree with the fucking status quo in the state of Texas and in many other parts of the United States that is currently happening and is currently transpiring at this very time, and will continue to probably do so for many years to come, because we have a very low IQ leadership. Donald Trump has destroyed any type of real government efficiency and real sufficiently good and proper government oversight to really deal with these kind of social issues and social norms. So if you have an X or a YouTube and you don't understand my position on these matters, that is fine, but don't tweet me. Don't hashtag my channel, and don't try to contact or interact with me if you don't understand what my actual political position is or my political position is on these matters and subjects. It comes from a more centered libertarian mindset and our perspective overall. And so there you go. Now, if you're going to continue to bother me and harass me, then I'm just going to have to consider that all you're trying to do is to cyberbully or to cyber harass or to try to censor me. And in regards to that, I'll take appropriate action. I will take the appropriate and the necessary action, and you will just have to deal with the consequences of your own shortcomings and mismanagements. What I can say is that over the years, I have noticed that I have done a very poor job at really explaining what exactly my positions are. And it seems that all I do is just further confuse people. It seems that I confuse people with what I say and do. And it's like I don't really get my point across what I actually think, or I do to a handful of people. I can get my my thoughts across, but then in a wider segment of to a wider audience or to a wider segment of people who don't really watch me or listen to what I say very often, it seems that they are very confused or have a very difficult time at really understanding what I actually say and what I actually think versus what they assume that I think or what I say. Okay, it's not you guys that watch me often, like more than at least once a month or once a couple of weeks. It's these idiots, total fucking idiots who know about me. I guess they know of me. Maybe they have or have not seen what I say or what I believe. And then they get these ideas, these pretentious ideas that have nothing whatsoever to do with what I actually had said. And they make a misjudgment. It's like, I don't know. I guess I don't get my thoughts across very well. I'm not for sure. Do I get my thoughts across? I'm pretty sure I do, but I don't think that people are listening. So I'm just going to have to say that if you don't want to listen to me, then don't have nothing to do with me. Unsub and unfollow me and just don't interact with me. And do not on X or YouTube or Discord, don't hashtag me and don't get into a VC with me and try to talk about like a social or conservative bullshit because I'm not fucking into that. Okay, that is not my political position. I might have some socially conservative viewpoints, but I'm not politically conservative. I'm probably closer to Medicare in the sense that I have a decent variant mix of various types of right-wing and left-wing positions that I have. And maybe I'm closer perhaps to Medicare in that regard. But yeah, don't label me in these groups that I have never been a part of, that I only just very loosely affiliate because there might be someone that doesn't like me who also doesn't like that other guy, and therefore, oh, maybe it makes sense that Forge Warhammer is in line with this guy. No. I'm not part of any groups or affiliations. If anything, I'm probably going to just join an anarchist group. That's my goal, is to join an anarchist group or an anarchist reading room or something and just kind of go from there. But anyways, yeah, don't push your religious or authoritarian BS onto me or onto anyone for that matter. It's extremely disingenuous. All right, so what is the question, interdimensional lizard, that you had? Was it something that I said earlier in this stream or what? An intriguing question. I'm not for sure what you're saying. Anyways, if that's all with the chat, that's going to be it. I have been your host, Imperator of Forge. This was not really going to be very long. I'll come back later and probably play a game or something, so I'll see you later.